Welcome to another episode from the Grace Foundation Dayhab TV crew. Hi everybody, my name is Joe Delaney. I'm the Executive Director of the Bread of Life Food Drive. And I'm coming to you from the grounds of the Grace Foundation at the great facility at Seaview. I will be your guest for today's program that features plenty of Dayhab fun and also glimpses into what we are doing and what's coming up at Grace. A little about myself. I was born and raised in West Orange, New Jersey, where I attended St. John's Grammar School, Our Lady of the Valley High School, and Seton Hall University, where I majored in liberal arts. When it comes to my work as a volunteer in the not-for-profit sector, I have been involved in this field for 40 years. Before that, I was a partner at the professional service firm of Deloitte, where I retired in 2010. We'll chat about me and myself a little later, but now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Nicholas James Manfredonia, coming live from Grace 10314 program. And today, we are interviewing Joe Delaney from Bread of Life.
Good morning. Thank you for visiting our facility at the Grace Foundation.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Mr. Joe Delaney, can you tell us how you got started with Bread of Life?
It was 31 years ago when the University of Notre Dame was 150 years old. And the president of the university, Father Malloy and Father Ted, asked each local Notre Dame alumni club to do a service for their community. We decided that we would do a food drive. We'd do it in the spring, and we collected about 5,000 items of food. We collected it from 6 schools, and we donated to 3 organizations. We thought we were done. We thought we made our impact. But somebody came back to us and said, "You don't know the impact you've made because nobody really does a food drive in the spring." At that time, most food drives were always held at Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we decided that we would, every spring, do a food drive. That was 31 years ago. And today we've grown from the 6 schools to 131 schools, and from the 5,000 items of food to 60,000 items of food. And we're just proud that we've had an impact fighting food insecurity here on Staten Island.
Hi, when the pandemic hit, was Bread of Life still active?
Yes, it was. We just were under a different field of operation. What we had to do, instead of going to the schools, which were the source of our collection of food, they were closed. So we had to make appeals to people to provide online donations to the Bread of Life, where we collected close to $100,000. And with that money, we gave it to the 25 not-for-profit organizations on Staten Island. And they used the money, whether as a check or they went out to ShopRite and brought food gift cards in the amount of $25. So what we were determined that even though the pandemic had closed down our traditional sources of operation in collecting food, we could not turn down, we could not shut off the food drive, because the need for food was even greater during the pandemic. So that's how we worked ourselves around collecting food for the pandemic. And now this year we're back in live mode. The schools are open, and we will be doing the Bread of Life food drive April 8th and April 9th.
How can a person donate?
People can donate if they have a child in one of our Staten Island schools and give it to them. Or if they see this video and they want to come to Monsignor Farrell High School, 2900 Amboy Road, Staten Island and Oakwood, they can bring food Saturday morning anytime between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. We prefer that they bring non-perishable items of food, soup, tuna fish, canned pasta. But anyone interested in making a donation of live food, they can reach out to Joe Delaney, Bread of Life, Notre Dame Club, and I can direct them to make that donation of food directly to our recipient organizations. But we would welcome anyone coming down to Farrell on April the 9th to drop off food anytime between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m.
What type of foods good do you expect?
We accept at the Bread of Life food drive in our schools and in our collection at Monsignor Farrell primarily non-perishable items of food. That would be cans of soup, tuna fish, peanut butter, fruits, vegetables, pasta. We have problems if you bring live food, milk, ice cream, meat. If you want to make that type of a donation, we can direct you to a recipient organization. But if your child is in the schools, or you go to a school and make a donation, or you come to Monsignor Farrell on Saturday, April the 9th, between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m., and you want to bring food, bring non-perishable items of food. They will be greatly accepted, and we appreciate so much what people can do to help us fight food insecurity. Thank you.
Where does Bread of Life go out to give out the donations?
Where does Bread of Life go to give out the donations? We give them to 25 not-for-profit organizations here on Staten Island. But all of that starts with collecting them at over 100 schools on Staten Island and after-school programs. Then we take those foods, we pick them up on Friday, April 8th, we bring them to Monsignor Farrell High School, and on Saturday morning, April the 9th, between 7 a.m. in the morning, 10 o'clock, what we do is we sort the food, and we sort it in boxes that are then delivered to 25 not-for-profit organizations right here on Staten Island that serve people in need. So everything you donate to the Bread of Life food drive here on Staten Island stays on Staten Island to fight food insecurity.
Okay. How many volunteers does Bread of Life have?
That is a great question. We have members of the University of Notre Dame Alumni Club, and there's about 90 of us that are engaged fully in the Bread of Life, planning, picking up the food. But on the day of sorting 60,000 items of food at Monsignor Farrell High School on Saturday, April the 9th, we need close to 200 volunteers. And I'm proud to say that people from the Grace Foundation have come down and helped us sort that food and deliver it.
How can one volunteer for Bread of Life?
One can volunteer for Bread of Life in the following way. If you're students, if you have a child and a brother and sister in a school that's part of the Bread of Life, you can give them food to bring to school between March 28th and April 8th. But the biggest help that we need from our volunteers is for people to show up at Monsignor Farrell High School on Saturday morning, April the 9th, between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. It's at 2900 Amboy Road. And as I mentioned previously, we've had volunteers from the Grace Foundation come down and help us. And there's a lot of food that has to be sorted. And with the help from the people from the Grace Foundation, we get them into boxes and we deliver them to people who are hungry, people who are in need. And they are distributed through 25 organizations on Staten Island that help serve people in need. So thank you for asking how people can volunteer, and we look forward to the people from the Grace Foundation being with us again.
You're welcome. And so Bread of Life has radio show as well. How did that get started?
A radio show. Well, we use our radio show, we use the media. We don't have our own network, but what we do is we use the newspaper, social media, coming here to Grace 10314 and get our message out. We use the ways of communication that can reach young people like yourself, and it seems to work out very well. Plus, we go through the schools and they pass the information on to the parents. So, although we don't have a radio station, we do use the media and the newspapers to get our message out.
That was wonderful. Do you have your brother or sister?
Do I have a brother and sister? Unfortunately, my sister died a couple of years ago, but I do have a lovely wife, Nancy Delaney, and Nancy and I have been married for 50 years. And Nancy has been my partner on so many things, and she's been my devoted partner on the Bread of Life, which we started 31 years ago. Now, I have two children. One lives in London, the other lives in Fairfield, Connecticut. And believe it or not, the young lady from London is married with 3 children, is coming to New York City, and they're going to be here on April 9th to help Grandpa at the Bread of Life food drive. My son lives in Connecticut. He lives in Fairfield, and he has a little girl who's 7 months old. So a little hard for her to come down with her daddy, but they'll be with us in spirit. So what we've done is we've made the Bread of Life a Delaney family tradition. And thank you for asking that.
You're welcome.
What is your favorite part of being a part of Bread of Life?
My favorite part about Bread of Life is what I'm doing right now, talking to you about Bread of Life and encouraging people to volunteer for Bread of Life. That makes me so happy. And then the best part, too, besides engaging volunteers and talking about it, is delivering food to people in need. It is so wonderful to see the faces of people who work at organizations that are going to distribute food to the recipient organizations, how their faces light up.
Thank you for your time and work that you do for Bread of Life.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
More to come on Grace 10314. Don't go away. And we're back. Let's keep this show rolling.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and coming to you live at Grace 10314. Today, we are at Board and Brush. Come check in with us.
Hold on. Ready? I'm gonna switch sides. There you go.
Yeah, I love it. You paint is good.
Yeah. Ooh, Sarah. Very nice.
I'll take care of the part.
I want to leave the bottom blank like that.
It's beautiful.
I just want to leave this. I just want to leave this other side blank.
I love it.
That's okay.
What's on the t-shirt?
Can you tell me your name and how long you've been working here?
So my name's Delaney. I have owned this board and brush location for 3 years now.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many people work here at this establishment?
We have approximately about 10 employees. Okay. So we have lead instructors who teach the class. We have assistants who help, as you've seen today. We have a builder who comes in to build all of our boxes and our trays, so we saw and stuff. Then we have me, of course, who does all the background work. And yeah, it's pretty good.
Can you tell us what your goal is in getting this establishment started?
So my goal initially when I opened was to create something fun for the community of Staten Island. I'm from Staten Island, so I really wanted to bring something where people can go, relieve stress, have fun with their families, have fun with their friends. Before this, I worked corporate as a corporate fashion designer, and I really just wanted to get into a business that was like just social and meeting people and fun. So that was my idea, was to bring something really exciting to Staten Island.
How many different projects do you have here?
Oh my God, we probably have over 300 projects. It's a lot to remember. So when you guys come on like any public night, you guys can choose over 300 projects. There's trays, coat hangers, boxes, stuff for your dogs, crates. I mean, you name it, we got it.
Nice.
3 locations do you have?
I only have this one location, but we are a franchise business, and there are over 220 stores, I believe, across the United States. And I believe they also opened in Canada. But I own just this location in Staten. We'll celebrate literally anything. I mean, we do kids' birthday parties, we've done bridal showers here, a 50th birthday party, whatever you could think of, we're ready to celebrate.
Can you bring snacks with you?
Oh yeah, we can. So we encourage you to bring snacks when you come. It's a lot of fun when you're creating and snacking on different foods. So yeah, a lot of our patrons will bring like cheese and crackers or chips or cookies when they come.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this brief message. That's enough commercials for now. Back to our program, Grace 10314. What I love to do with my family is to volunteer and engage them in projects like the Bread of Life. When my 2 children were in high school, they were active participants, Tracy at Staten Island Tech and Joseph also at Staten Island Tech. Tracy went on to NYU and helped me when she would come in for the Easter break. But then she went and began her career, professional career in Japan. And she spent 5 out of 6 years after graduation in Japan, 2 years working for the American government as a person in people to people. She was an interpreter for the mayor of Yokohama. And then eventually she took a position with the consulting firm of Deloitte. They hired her, not because she was my daughter, but because she could speak Japanese and read it fluently. My son Joe went on to Fairfield University, has an accounting degree. He joined the firm and spent 9 years there, and now is a senior vice president working for Mr. Warren Buffett at General Reinsurance in Stamford, Connecticut. Tracy subsequently moved on from where she went from Deloitte to American Express in London. And she has been 12 years with American Express, being in charge of their branding to the Far East, even though she's Tracy Delaney from Staten Island. Her knowledge of Asia is very intense. She has subsequently moved on to work with Nat West. She has 3 children, and as I previously mentioned, she's coming for the Bread of Life and will be here April 8th and 9th to help us with the food drive, and her 3 children, Paul 7, Isadora 5, and Octave Joseph 3. People say to me sometimes, boy, you know, you worked many hours professionally when you were at Deloitte, and now you're involved with the Bread of Life, Catholic Charities, other charities. Don't you miss your family? My answer is I engage my family. They become volunteers with Catholic Charities, Bread of Life. And you know what? I don't have to force them. They love doing good. And as a family, it's sort of like the family that volunteers together stays together. No day was ever the same at Deloitte. I had 6 jobs within the organization. I told you my background was in liberal arts, not accounting. But what the firm used me was my organizational skills, my management skills, my coaching skills, mentoring skills. So I was involved with staffing, scheduling, training, and then every so often there would come some event in the firm that required my experience and knowledge. First one was the merger. I started at Deloitte Haskins & Sells. We merged with Touche Ross. Then one Friday afternoon in February 1993, we were at the World Trade Center, and there was an explosion, and we had to vacate our offices. The first terrorist attack in Lower Manhattan. Then, 8 years later, we were across the street. We had moved out of the World Trade Center, 9/11 occurred. And my skills of organization, planning were put into effect. My final part of my career was, having been there for 32 years, the last 8 years of my career, I became director of the Deloitte Alumni Program. So what I did was outreach to people who worked at Deloitte, who were now in private industry, and we wanted to maintain contact with them. I developed a phrase that you were a colleague for life. So if you were at Deloitte and you left, you really never left your roots, which was Deloitte. I still volunteer every other week in a New York City classroom, working with students, training them on how to run a business. So the Virtual Enterprise Program has a 4:30 year end, and the students take courses in business from September to the 1st of June. They rely on professionals like myself from Deloitte or other organizations, corporations, law firms to come in and mentor the kids. It's been probably one of the most rewarding things I've done. I started it in the year 2000, and even though I've retired from Deloitte, I still maintain part of my relationships with the firm by being a part of their mentoring team. So Virtual Enterprise, very important group with me. And one other organization I'm very proud of, I work with an organization called SOAR, Support Our Aging Religious. I raise funds for Catholic nuns, brothers and priests who are in their 80s, 90s, and some of them are in their hundreds. They have a lot of unfunded liabilities, and these were the nuns and the priests and the brothers who educated me and many other Catholic lay men and women. So I have a sense of obligation to help raise funds and provide them with the comfort in life that I would for my own parents. The Christopher Whitehouse Foundation was founded by Peter Whitehouse, the father of Christopher Whitehouse. Christopher was an extraordinary young man. He was 28 years old, about to receive his doctorate degree from the University of Florida in Gainesville. And on the weekend of his graduation, he was out jogging. He had been an athlete, as his father was, Pete, who was an All-American runner at Notre Dame. Christopher fell. He had an aneurysm, and he died. His dad, mom, instead of cursing the darkness, set up a foundation where we would raise money and work with high school counselors. A lot of this was tied into our connection with the Notre Dame Club and Bread of Life. We went to high schools on Staten Island and said, where are there high school counselors who are reaching into their own pocket to help a kid at risk? Because if you can document for us what type of assistance they're giving, we could reimburse them. So we helped kids who couldn't afford a prom dress, kids who needed athletic fees to stay on the track team instead of wandering the streets because they didn't have the activity fee. The Christopher Whitehouse Foundation has had a tremendous effect in the last 22, 23 years of its existence in helping teachers who want to help children and children who have been helped by the teachers in the foundation. More to come on Grace 10314. Don't go away.
Look what I found on the very top stair. Look what I found up there. It looks like a box and it's filled with socks. So look what I found up there. How many pairs do you think we'll find? How many pairs inside? We'll look through the box and match all the socks. So how many pairs inside? I found a sock, believe it or not, with big yellow polka dots. We'll look through the patch till we find a match for big yellow polka dots.
And we're back. Let's keep this show rolling.
Hi, this is Brandon, coming to you live from Grace 10314. Today we're going to interview Amelia Gordon.
My name is Amelia Gordon, and I was born in Brooklyn on June 16th, 2004. And I lived in Brooklyn up until I was 9, so at about 2013 we actually moved to Staten Island. And growing up, I had a pretty good childhood, you know, I had fun. I have a younger brother and an older sister who happens to be on the spectrum. So while there were obstacles, you know, it wasn't that we ever had bad times. It was always me the best out of everything. I lived in Bensonhurst, So I grew up where my mom grew up, which was pretty cool. And what I really liked about Brooklyn is that you could walk down a block anywhere and you'd have like everything. Because I lived on 18th Avenue, so there was a lot that I could go to. I would go to the bakeries, I'd go shopping with my mom. It was nice. My sister's 3 years older than me, so I mostly hanged out a lot with her and her older friends. And then also with my family, I was like the youngest. I was the second youngest in my family, so I grew up with a lot of older people. So I definitely watched shows like, I was very into Disney Channel growing up, so I watched a lot of Disney Channel. And my mother, she introduced me to a lot of music, especially theater, which is what her grandmother introduced me to. So that was really cool. Growing up, I got to listen to, you know, Beauty and the Beast, West Side Story, Hairspray, all that sort of stuff. When we moved, my sister was still in the 6th grade, and we wanted her to finish school in Brooklyn before she went to school high school in Staten Island. So that was difficult because I still had many friends in Brooklyn. It was like I was still living in Brooklyn, but I was in Staten Island. So it was difficult having to transition because when I was in the 7th grade, that's when I transferred schools and I went to St. Anne's on Staten Island. So it was definitely difficult because it was like I was new, but I wasn't at the same time. My favorite subjects were history because there's so much that's involved in it, so much you can learn. I'm very much invested in the royal family, the Windsors. I love Princess Diana, and I love them all. I love them all.
Really?
I know so much about them. Especially with Princess Diana, like just their servitude that they gave to the public people. Well, as you know, my older sister, she happens to be on the spectrum, and growing up, I would be with my mother as she took her to different therapists and different social groups to get her involved. And I never really noticed that there was anything different with her. You know, she's my older sister. I did so many things because of her. I got into theater because of her. I did dance because of her. I just wanted to be my sister. And I never really understood why other people look so differently, people that have autism. I don't think that they are what people say autistic. They're neurodiverse. They just comprehend things differently. And so that's why I wanted to get involved with this, because I kind of wanted to end that stigma of how people think that people with autism, they can't do everything because of their abilities. But it's the fact that they can do so much because of the abilities they do have. She didn't like the fact that people would look down on her like that or treat her as if she was still a baby. Many times I would have to, it was almost like I was the older sister role, which was hard at times because I did have a younger brother and I did have an older sister, so it was like I was kind of playing that role at such a young age. I just met somebody who asked me when my birthday was, and he told me I was born on a Wednesday, and he asked the same thing to my mom, like, that's crazy that you could just take a birthday from any year and know the specific date. And I think they retain so much memory. Like my sister, you could ask her she loves award shows, she loves movies. You could ask her from any year who won the Best Actress or Best Actor from the Oscars, and she will know it. It's just, they just comprehend things differently. Maybe they're not looking at you in the eye, but they're listening. So that's what I would like people to know. And my mother had a friend that actually competed in the Miss Staten Island, as a Miss in this organization. And I knew the platform that I had and what I wanted to do if I were to win this title. And so that really was the driving force, the fact that I did want to make a change in the society of autism. So that was my driving force. And I went to Notre Dame, and I actually knew the vice principal, Miss Amato, which was really nice, and she was so nice to me and my sister with coming to a new high school. And I was so fortunate enough to make friends that I'm still in that friend group today. I joined theater there, which is such a big community because they really make you feel like you're at home. It's like your second family. And I do swim, which I actually started doing swim in the 7th grade. And I also made a lot of friends with that. And it's so much fun because, you know, we have our group chats, we have all our inside jokes. And with that, with swimming, I actually got to use those accomplishments to actually become a lifeguard, which was really cool. I was very fortunate to have gone to Notre Dame, which is very much a college preparatory school. And from the beginning, when we take guidance classes, we're talked about college, and we make a list and we compile and we think about what we want to do and we talk about it. We have meetings with our counselors. And also my mother too, she really helped me figure out what I want to do. And also from a very young age, I always knew I wanted to do something with people that are on the spectrum because I do have firsthand experience with my sister. Meeting with the Grace Foundation today, I'm excited to hopefully be at many events. I also work with them, have been working with the Minty organization, and in April I'm hoping to team up with the Minties to put on a cabaret that would benefit the Grace Foundation and On Your Mark. And I'm also hoping to go to Notre Dame Elementary School and read to them, read a book about autism to them.
It's now time for Grace 10314.
Did you know?
Greetings to all the Grace 10314 viewers out there. My name is Massimo Dodana, Chairman and President of the Carl Vincent Beatty Memorial Fund. On Friday, March 25th at the Coach's Ballroom at the Hilton Garden Inn, Staten Island, we are throwing the annual Beanie Bash for the Carl V. Beatty Memorial Fund, a non-for-profit 501c3 organization that was founded in memory of my father-in-law, firefighter Carl Vincent Beatty, an 18-year veteran of the New York City firefighter assigned to Rescue 5 in Staten Island, who lost his life on September 11th. The Beanie Fund supports community through scholarship, emergency grants, and special needs assistance. The fund is uniquely positioned to adapt to the challenging needs of the community, especially in the time of crisis. Our cocktail hour begins at 7, followed by an 8 p.m. dinner reception that includes a gourmet sit-down dinner, top-shelf open bar, entertainment provided by Partners in Sound Productions. Tickets are $250 per person, and you can purchase them and get more information by visiting our website at www.binifund.org or call 718-412-1851. Once again, Friday, March 25th, the annual Beanie Bash, 7 p.m. in the Coach's Ballroom for the Beanie Fund. We hope to see you all there.
All right, 10314 fans, that'll do it. The Day Hab TV crew was at it again the past couple of weeks and provided you with a glimpse into their day-to-day life here at the Grace Foundation. It was a pleasure to be here on campus and to navigate us through today's show. Once again, my name is Joe Delaney. And remember, the giving never ends. I hope to see you in the community at our upcoming Bread of Life food drive on Saturday morning, April 9th at Monsignor Farrell High School in Oakwood. Join us and help us make it a great day.